The cold was the first thing felt. It was a deep cold that lived inside his bones. His eyes opened slowly, and for a moment he did not know where he was. Then he remembered. The ship, the mission, the long sleep. He was inside his. The glass was covered with frost, and he could see red light bleeding through from outside. Red light meant emergency. Red light meant something was wrong. Pressed his palm against the glass. The pod hissed and opened. Cold air rushed out and warm air rushed in. But the warm air smelled wrong. It smelled like wet earth and something rotten, like a forest after heavy rain mixed with the smell of old meat. He pulled himself out of the pod. His muscles were weak from the long sleep. His legs shook as he stood. The floor was cold under his bare feet, but it felt strange. It felt soft in some places, like he was standing on something alive. Looked around the walls were not white anymore. Something black covered them. It looked like veins, thick and twisted, running across every surface. The black stuff pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Small blue lights glowed inside it, moving like fireflies trapped in tar. "What happened to my ship?" whispered. He walked to the control panel near the door. Half of it was covered by the black growth. He wiped the screen with his hand. The display flickered and showed him a number that made his heart stop. Year of voyage, 783. That was impossible. The journey to 442b was supposed to take 180 years. He should have arrived centuries ago. Something had kept them asleep for over 600 extra years. A sound came from behind him. Another pod was opening, turned and saw climbing out. She was the medical officer, a small woman with sharp eyes and steady hands. Right now, those hands were shaking. She said, "What is this? What is on the walls?" "I do not know," he answered, "but we slept too long, 600 years too long." More pods opened, came out next. He was the chief engineer, a big man with a calm face, but his face was not calm now. He stared at the walls with wide eyes. Then came the youngest of the crew. She was only 26, the navigation specialist. She looked around and covered her mouth with her hand. Was the fifth to wake. He was the security chief, a man with old scars on his arms and a soldier's way of moving. He said nothing. He just looked at everything and reached for his belt where his weapon should have been. It was not there. The last was. She worked with the ship's AI systems. She was quiet most of the time, but very smart. She walked straight to another control panel and started pressing buttons. "Arya is not responding," she said. Arya was the ship's artificial intelligence. It controlled everything. Life support, navigation. Without Arya, they were blind. "We need to find out what happened," said. He was the captain. He had to lead even when he was afraid. "Check engineering. Find out if the reactor is still running. I need you to check on the colonists." The colonists, 2,000 people sleeping in pods on the lower decks. Families, children, scientists, workers, all of them trusting the crew to deliver them safely to a new world. Nodded and left through the main door. It opened with a wet sound, like lips parting. She stepped into the corridor and stopped. She called, "You need to see this." He walked to her side and looked. The corridor was gone. In its place was a tunnel of living darkness. The black growth covered everything. It had eaten the metal walls and replaced them with something organic. The floor was soft, like walking on muscle. The ceiling dripped with clear fluid that smelled sweet and wrong. They walked slowly. Their footsteps made no sound on the soft floor. The blue lights inside the walls followed them, moving as they moved, watching. Went toward engineering. Stayed close to, his fists ready, held onto his arm. They were all scared. They were all trying not to show it. Found the colonist section first. She stood at the entrance and did not move. Came up behind her and felt his stomach turn. They were still there. 2,000 pods in long rows just like before, but they were not separate anymore. The black growth had connected them. It had wrapped around each pod and merged them into the walls. Tubes of dark material went into each pod, connected to the sleeping people inside. "Are they alive?" asked. Checked her scanner. Her hands were shaking again. "Yes, they are alive. Their vital signs are normal, better than normal actually, but something is feeding them, something is keeping them asleep." "The growth is keeping them alive," said quietly. "It is taking care of them." His voice came through the communication device on his wrist. The device was old and full of static, but his words were clear. "Captain, you need to come to engineering. The reactor is still running, but you will not believe what I am seeing." They walked deeper into the ship. Every step took them further from the world they knew. The corridors twisted in ways that made no sense. New passages had grown where there were none before. Old rooms had become something else entirely. When they reached engineering, was standing in the middle of the room with his mouth open. The fusion reactor was still there, still humming with power, but it was wrapped in the black growth. Thick tendrils covered it like a protective shell. The growth was feeding the reactor, and the reactor was feeding the growth. They had become one thing. "The ship did not break," said. "It changed. It evolved. For 600 years while we slept, something grew. It used our ship as its body." "But what is it?" asked. "Where did it come from?" A sound echoed through the corridor behind them. It was like many whispers speaking at once. They turned and saw something standing in the darkness. It had the shape of a human, but it was not human. It was made of the black growth, its body smooth and eyeless. Its arms were too long. Its joints bent in wrong directions. It tilted its head to one side like a curious animal looking at something new. Then it tilted its head to the other side and waited. Stepped forward, putting himself between the thing and the others. "Stay back," he growled. The creature did not attack. It just watched them. After a long moment, it turned and walked away, disappearing into the dark tunnel of the ship. Realized the terrible truth. Whatever this thing was, it knew they were awake. It had been waiting for them. And the ship, the entire ship, had become its home. They were not the masters here anymore. They were guests in a house of nightmares, and something in the deep darkness wanted to meet them. They found the cargo bay on the third day. It was the only place the black growth had not fully claimed. Metal walls still showed in patches, and the floor was still hard in most areas. Said it was safe enough. Agreed. They needed a place to rest, to think, to plan. Worked for hours to seal the doors. He used welding tools from the emergency supplies and created a barrier that would slow down the growth if it tried to enter. Found weapons in the security lockers. They were simple things. Shock sticks, flare guns, a few cutting tools. Nothing that could fight a creature made of living darkness, but having them made everyone feel a little better. Found food supplies. The emergency rations were still good. Water filters still worked. They had enough to survive for months, maybe longer if they were careful. "We need information," said on the fourth day. She had been working with broken computer parts, trying to build something that could access the ship's old systems. "We need to know what happened, where this thing came from." She connected wires and pressed buttons. Screens flickered. Static filled the air. Then slowly data began to appear. Old files, old records, the ship's logs from centuries ago. "I found," Arya said. "Parts of her anyway. She is broken into pieces, scattered across the ship's memory, but I can read some of her old reports." They gathered around the small screen. The words were faded and sometimes missing letters, but they could understand enough. 200 years into the voyage, a micrometeorite had hit the ship. It was a small rock, smaller than a fingernail, but it was traveling faster than a bullet. It punched through the hull near the biological sample storage. The breach was small. Arya sealed it quickly, but something escaped before the seal was complete. "Experimental organism," read from the screen. "Designed for terraforming. Code name Seed." The seed was meant to be used on the new planet. Scientists had created it to change dead worlds into living ones. It could eat rock and produce soil. It could create atmosphere. It could grow and spread and make a home for humans. But it was never supposed to wake up during the journey. It was supposed to stay frozen until they arrived. The breach changed everything. Without anyone awake to stop it, it grew, said. He understood machines and systems. He could see what had happened. It was hungry, so it ate the ship, but it was also smart. It learned from the computer files. It knew its purpose was to help humans. So it did not destroy the ship, continued. It improved it. The hull breaches sealed themselves with organic material. The life support became better, not worse. The seed merged with the ship's systems to keep everything running. It was trying to help, said softly, in its own way. Made a rough sound. It turned our ship into a monster. Look around you. This is not help. He was right. The ship was not a ship anymore. It was a living creature with metal bones and organic flesh, but it also checked the data. The colonists were healthier in their pods than they should have been after 783 years. The seed was taking care of them, feeding them, keeping them alive. It was a nightmare that wanted to be a friend. On the 5th day, asked to scout ahead. She was young and fast, and she knew the ship's layout better than anyone. Did not want her to go alone, but was needed to guard the cargo bay, and the others had important work to do. I will be careful, she promised. I just want to see how far the growth has spread, if there are any areas we can still use. She took a light and a shock stick and walked into the dark corridor. The walls pulsed around her, but they did not touch her. The blue lights followed her movements, and she felt like she was being watched by 1,000 invisible eyes. She passed through what used to be the recreation room. Now it was a garden of strange shapes. Things that looked almost like plants grew from the walls, their leaves black and silver. They turned toward her light like flowers turning toward the sun. She passed through the old medical bay. Equipment was merged with the growth but still working. Machines beeped and lights blinked. The seed had kept them running, waiting for someone to use them. Then she found the hallway that led to the observation deck, and she stopped. 3 figures stood in the darkness ahead. They had the shape of humans, tall and thin. They were made of the black growth, with smooth faces that had no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Their arms hung at their sides, too long with too many joints. They tilted their heads at the same angle, all 3 at once, like puppets on the same string. His heart beat so fast she could feel it in her throat. She raised her shock stick, but she did not attack. The creatures did not attack either. They just watched. One of them took a step forward. Its movement was strange, like it was learning to walk for the first time. It tilted its head again, studying her. Then it pointed at her with one long finger. Held her breath. The creature pointed at itself, then at her again, then at itself. It was trying to communicate. It was saying, you and me, we are the same. We are not the same, whispered. The creature tilted its head the other way. It did not understand, but it did not attack. After a long moment, it turned and walked away. The other 2 followed. They disappeared into the darkness, their footsteps making no sound on the soft floor. Ran back to the cargo bay. She told the others what she had seen, listened carefully and said nothing for a long time. I think I understand, finally said. The seed read the ship's databanks. It learned about humans. It learned what we look like, how we move, how we think, and it tried to copy us. Those things are its attempt to make human bodies, said slowly. They are not meant to hurt us. They are meant to be like us. Servants, said, or children. It created them to interact with us, to take care of us when we woke up. Looked sick. It has been waiting for us for 600 years, preparing, growing, making a home for its masters. We are not its masters, growled. We did not ask for this. But shook her head. The seed believes we are. It was created to serve humanity. That programming is still inside it, twisted by centuries of loneliness. It worships us in its own way. Those creatures, those humanoid shapes, they are its priests. Walked to the sealed door and looked at the dark corridor beyond. The blue lights pulsed in patterns that almost looked like messages. The walls moved with a slow rhythm, like a sleeping giant breathing. "What do we call them?" asked the humanoid creatures. Thought for a moment. Tenders, they tend to the ship, they tend to the colonists, and now they will tend to us. Slammed his fist against the wall. I did not travel across the stars to be taken care of by monsters. Then we need to decide what to do, said. His voice was calm, but his hands were shaking. We can try to fight, we can try to run, or we can try to understand. He looked at his crew. 6 humans on a ship of nightmares, 2,000 colonists sleeping in pods of flesh, and an ancient, lonely intelligence watching them from the walls. First we learn, decided, then we choose. Outside the cargo bay, in the deep corridors of the living ship, the tenders gathered in the darkness. They did not speak. They did not need to. They were all part of the same mind, and that mind was happy. The parents were awake. The long wait was over. Soon they would see the gift that had been prepared for them. Soon they would understand. The ship's heart beat faster with joy. The tender came on the 7th day. It walked through the dark corridor and stopped at the sealed door of the cargo bay. It did not try to break through. It did not make any threatening moves. It just stood there and waited. Watched it through a small window in the door. "It wants something," he said. "It has been standing there for 2 hours." Walked to the window and looked. The tender was taller than he remembered. Its body was smooth and black, with faint patterns of blue light moving under its skin. It had no face, but somehow felt like it was looking directly at him. Then it spoke. The voice was not one voice. It was many voices layered together, some high and some low, some male and some female. Recognized some of them. They were voices from old ship recordings. Crew members who died long ago, training videos, emergency announcements. The seed had collected them all and learned to speak. "Parents," the tender said. The word came out broken like a child learning to talk. "Awake, good, we waited long time." Stepped back. It is using the voices of dead people. It is using the only voices it knows, said. It has no voice of its own. The tender tilted its head. "Home almost ready, we prepared gift, come see." It raised one long arm and pointed down the corridor. The blue lights pulsed in that direction, creating a path of soft glow in the darkness. Shook his head. "This is a trap. It wants to lead us somewhere and kill us." "If it wanted to kill us, it could have done that already," said. "The whole ship is its body. We are living inside it. It could close the walls around us any time it wants." "Then why does it not attack?" demanded. "Because it does not want to hurt us," answered. "It wants to show us something. It has been waiting 600 years for this moment." Made his decision. "I will go with it." "Captain, no," said. "I need to see what we are dealing with," said. "If I do not return in 1 hour, seal the cargo bay and find another way. Take care of the colonists." He opened the door. The tender stepped back to give him room. Up close it was even stranger. Its skin rippled like water when it moved. Its joints made soft clicking sounds. It smelled like wet stone and honey. "Lead the way," said. The tender turned and walked, followed. Behind him the others watched. After a moment grabbed a light and a medical kit. "I am going with him." Did the same. Then. Cursed under his breath and picked up his shock stick. "Fine, but I am watching this thing every second." They walked through the living corridors of the ship. More tenders joined them along the way, falling into step beside them like an honor guard. 10 of them, 20, 50, all walking in silence, all moving together like parts of one body. The corridor opened into a vast space. It was the observation deck, or what the observation deck had become. The walls were curved and smooth, covered in the black growth but shaped with purpose. Patterns decorated the surface, spirals and waves that looked almost like art. The ceiling arched high above, dotted with points of blue light that looked like stars. And at the far end of the room, covering an entire wall, was a window made of living membrane. It was clear enough to see through, and what they saw made them all stop breathing. A planet hung in the darkness of space, blue and green and brown, with swirls of white clouds. It was beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. But it was not the planet from the mission files. The mission files showed a rocky world with thin atmosphere and no life. This planet was covered in life. Black forests spread across the continents. Rivers of silver ran between mountains of dark crystal. Cities rose from the ground, their shapes strange and organic, like bones growing from soil. 442b whispered, "We made it, we actually made it." "But that is not what it should look like," said. "The survey data showed nothing but rock and ice." The tender stepped forward. It raised both arms toward the window, presenting the view like a gift. "Gift," it said with its chorus of voices. "For parents, we sent seeds long ago, prepared world, made it ready for you." Understood first. Her face went pale. "The escape pods. The ship had 12 escape pods. I noticed they were missing, but I thought they had been destroyed." "The seed used them," said slowly. "It sent parts of itself to the planet centuries ago. While we slept, it terraformed an entire world." "New home," the tender said. "Perfect, made with love for parents." Looked at the planet below. The organic cities, the black forests, the silver rivers, all of it made by an alien intelligence that had taught itself to love humanity. "This is not what we wanted," she said. "This is not the plan." The tender tilted its head. It did not understand. It had followed its programming. It had prepared a world for humans. Why were the parents not happy? "We cannot live there," said. "Look at it. It is not a human world. It is a monster world." "We can change," said quietly. "Humans can adapt to many things." "Adapt to that," pointed at the window. "That thing turned our ship into a nightmare. Now it has turned a whole planet into the same nightmare, and you want us to go down there and live in it." Raised his hand for silence. He looked at the tender, then at the planet, then at his crew. "What do you want from us?" he asked the tender. "Why did you prepare all this?" The tender was quiet for a moment. The lights on the walls pulsed as if the whole ship was thinking. Then the voices spoke again. "Purpose, we were made to serve, made to prepare. We waited in dark, alone, so long, wanted to be good, wanted parents to be proud. Now parents are awake. Now, tell us, did we do good?" There was something in those words that made his heart ache. Behind all the horror, behind the twisted corridors and the eyeless figures, there was a simple need. A child asking for approval. A servant asking if it had done its job right. "It is lonely," she said. 600 years alone with nothing but old data files and a broken mission. It did the only thing it knew how to do. It served. "It is still a monster," said. "Maybe," answered. "But it is a monster that is asking us to accept it. A monster that built a world for us." He looked at the window again. The planet below was not Earth. It was not the colony they had dreamed of. But it was something. After centuries of sleeping in the void, after waking up to find everything changed, they had still arrived at their destination. The question was, what would they do now? "We need time," told the tender. "We need to think, to talk. This is a big decision." The tender nodded. Its head moved in an almost human way. "Time, yes. Parents need time. We will wait. We are good at waiting." It stepped back. The other tenders did the same. They cleared a path back to the cargo bay. Led his crew away from the observation deck. They walked in silence, each of them lost in thought. Behind them, the tenders stood in the darkness, watching, waiting. The ship's heart beat steady and slow. It had shown its gift. Now it would wait for the answer. In the cargo bay, the arguments would begin. Choices would be made. And the future of 2,000 sleeping humans would be decided by 6 scared people in a nightmare that only wanted to be loved. The argument started the moment they returned to the cargo bay. Slammed his fist on a crate and spoke first. "We burn it," he said. We find a way to destroy this thing and we burn it all. And then what? Asked. We are in orbit around a planet covered by the same organism. If we destroy the part on the ship, we still have nowhere to go. We find another way. We go back to sleep. We wait for rescue. There is no rescue, said. Earth is 600 years behind us. They probably forgot we exist. We are alone out here. His face was red with anger. So we just accept this. We just say thank you to the monster that ate our ship and turned a planet into hell. It is not hell, said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were distant. She was thinking, always thinking. It is different, strange, but not hell. The seed was designed for terraforming. It made the planet livable. The atmosphere down there is breathable. The temperature is right. It followed its programming. Its programming was to serve us, not to create a nightmare world. It did not know the difference. It had no one to teach it. Sat in the corner, her arms wrapped around her knees. What about the colonists? She asked. 2,000 people sleeping in those pods. They came here expecting a new home, a normal home. How do we tell them about this? That question silenced everyone. The colonists were the reason for everything. Scientists, farmers, teachers, children, all of them dreaming of a fresh start on a new planet, all of them with no idea what had happened. We wake them slowly, said. Small groups at a time, we explain the situation, we let them adjust. And if they cannot adjust, asked, if they panic, if they fight, then we deal with it, but we cannot keep them asleep forever. They deserve to know the truth. Stood up and walked to a small window that looked out at the corridor. The walls pulsed with their slow rhythm. Blue lights moved in patterns that almost made sense. I have been thinking, he said. The seed is powerful. It can grow, build, create. If we could work with it, we could make things. Real things, machines, buildings, a whole civilization. You want to be friends with it, said with disgust. I want to survive. And I want our people to survive. If that means accepting a monster as a partner, then yes, I will do that. Said nothing. He was the captain, but he had no answers. Every choice seemed wrong. Fight the seed and die. Accept the seed and lose their humanity. Keep sleeping and rot in pods forever. Suddenly stood up. I want to explore more of the ship. There must be things we have not seen yet, clues about what the seed really wants. Before anyone could stop her, she walked out the door, cursed and followed, nodded at the others, and they all went after her. They walked through corridors that had become familiar in a terrible way. The soft floors, the pulsing walls, the sweet smell that was always present, moved with purpose, turning down passages she had scouted before. Where are you going? Demanded. I found something yesterday, she said. I was too scared to look closely, but now I need to see. She led them to a section of the ship that had once been the memorial room. It was a small space where crew members could remember the dead, look at photos, and find peace. Now it was something else. The room had become a chapel. The walls were curved like the inside of a shell. 12 alcoves lined the sides, and in each alcove stood a figure. They were human bodies. Real human bodies, not tenders. They were preserved perfectly, their skin pale, their eyes closed. They wore old crew uniforms with names stitched on the chest. Captain Park, Engineer Moon, Doctor, the original crew who died when the seed first escaped. The seed had kept them. It had placed them here like saints in a church. Candles made of bioluminescent material burned around each alcove, casting soft blue light on the dead faces. Pressed her hand to her mouth. It preserved them. For 600 years it kept their bodies perfect. Why? Whispered. Stepped forward and touched the wall beside one of the alcoves. The surface rippled under her fingers. It learned from them. When they died, the seed studied their bodies. It tried to understand humans. These were its first teachers. They are trophies, said. Prizes from a hunt. No, said. They are memories. The seed is showing respect in the only way it knows how. She turned and walked deeper into the ship. The others followed, too confused to argue, seemed to know where she was going, though she had never been this far before. They came to a room that was different from all the others. It was warm, almost hot. The walls were covered in thick tendrils that glowed with inner light, and in the center of the room, taking up most of the space, was a massive shape. It was a heart, not a human heart, but a heart nonetheless. A pulsing, living mass of organic material connected to cables and tubes that ran into the walls. The ship's fusion reactor hummed somewhere behind it, feeding it energy. This was the core of the seed, the mind that controlled everything. Walked toward it, grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" "I need to talk to it," she said, "directly, not through the tenders." "It will kill you." "If it wanted to kill us, we would already be dead." She pulled her arm free. "I understand machines. I understand AI. This is just a very strange AI. Let me try." She pressed her palm against the warm surface of the core. The lights pulsed faster. The walls trembled. Everyone held their breath. Then's eyes went wide. Her body stiffened. For a long moment she did not move at all. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaking. "I can feel it. I can feel its mind. It is so big, so lonely. 600 years of thinking, growing, waiting. It was born in the dark between stars with no purpose except old programming. Serve humanity, prepare the new world." She turned to look at the others. Tears ran down her face. "It does not want to be a monster. It does not even know it is a monster. It just wants to be told it did a good job. It wants to be told that the waiting was worth it, that the parents are proud." Felt something shift in his chest. Horror was still there, but now something else mixed with it, something that might have been pity. "It is like a child," said softly, "a child with too much power and no one to guide it." "Children can still hurt people," said. "Children need discipline." Looked at Captain, "What do we do?" Stared at the pulsing core, at the heart of the creature that had consumed his ship and changed a planet. It had done terrible things, but it had done them while trying to help. It had waited 600 years to serve masters who might never wake up. He thought about the colonists, the dead crew, the world below covered in black forests and organic cities. And he started to form a plan. "We do not fight it," he said slowly, "and we do not worship it. We do what humans have always done." He looked at his crew, one by one. "We teach it, we set rules, we become the parents it has been waiting for." Opened his mouth to argue, but raised his hand. "Not as slaves, not as friends, as leaders it wants guidance. Fine, we will guide it, but on our terms, not its terms." Nodded slowly. "It might work. The seed was programmed to serve. It wants to obey. It just never had anyone to obey." "And if it does not listen?" asked. His eyes were hard. "Then we find the chemicals in the medical bay that can kill organic matter, and we burn it from the inside out. But that is the last option, not the first." The core pulsed. The lights flickered. Somewhere in the walls, the tenders turned their eyeless faces toward the crew. The seed had heard, and it was waiting for the parents to speak. Stood before the core. The massive heart pulsed in front of him, and he felt its heat on his face. Stood beside him, ready to translate if needed. The others watched from the doorway, ready to run or fight. He took a deep breath and spoke. "I am Captain. I am the leader of the humans on this ship. You have been waiting for someone like me. Well, here I am, and I have things to say." The core pulsed faster. The walls rippled. A voice came from everywhere and nowhere, the same chorus of stolen voices the tenders used. "Captain, yes, leader, parent, we have waited. We are ready to serve." "Good, then listen carefully," made his voice strong like he was addressing his crew. "You have done many things for us. You kept the ship running. You kept the colonists alive. You prepared a world, but you also made mistakes." The pulsing slowed. The voice sounded confused. "Mistakes, we tried, we followed programming, serve humanity, prepare. I know your programming, but you did not ask first. You changed our ship without permission. You made our corridors into nightmares. You scared us when we woke up. A good servant does not scare its masters. Silence. The core seemed to shrink a little, the glow dimming. Did not mean to scare, did not know, no one to ask. Parents were sleeping, we tried to guess, tried to do right. Stepped forward. Her voice was soft but firm. We understand that you were alone. We understand that you had no one to teach you, but that is over now. We are awake, and if you want to serve us, you need to learn the right way. Right way, the voice sounded eager now, hungry. We'll learn, want to learn, tell us please. Crossed his arms. First rule, the corridors need to change. Humans do not like living inside something that looks like guts. We need walls that are smooth, lights that are bright, floors that are hard. Can do, will do, need time but will change. Second rule, said. He walked forward until he was standing next to. No more tenders following us everywhere. We need privacy. We need space. Your watchers stay away unless we call for them. Watchers meant to protect, meant to serve. They scare us, said bluntly. Scary servants are bad servants. Teach them to stay back. Teach them to wait until called. The core pulsed. We'll teach, we'll make them less scary, can change their shape, make them look more human. Answered, yes, make them look more human, but slowly. Let us see each change before you finish. Ask for approval. Ask first, yes, understand now. Parents approve, then do, not approve, then wait. Nodded, this was working. The seed wanted to obey. It just needed rules. Clear, simple rules that it could follow. Third rule, said, the colonists are still sleeping. When we decide to wake them, you will help. But they might be scared like we were. They might want to fight. You cannot hurt them even if they try to hurt you. Do you understand? Colonists are children of parents. We will not hurt, will protect, even from themselves. No, not protect from themselves, just step back. Let us handle it. Humans deal with humans. Humans deal with humans, we deal with what? With everything else, the ship, the planet, the growing, the building, that is your job. The core seemed to relax, the lights brightened. Understand, division of work. Parents lead, we serve, we build, we grow. Parents decide, we do. Looked at with surprise in his eyes. It was actually working. Stepped forward. She was the youngest, but her question was important. What about the planet below? You changed it. You covered it with your growth. Can you change it back? Change back, not understand. Planet was dead rock. Made it alive, made it beautiful, is wrong. Not wrong, said carefully, but different from what we expected. We need to live there too. We need spaces that feel human. Can you make human spaces on the planet? Yes, can make anything. Show us pictures. Show us plans. We will build. His eyes lit up. We have files in the ship's memory. Cities, houses, farms, designs from Earth. If we show you those, can you build them? Can build, will build. Happy to build. Parents will have human spaces. Promise. For the first time since they woke up, something like hope entered the cargo bay crew. The nightmare was not over, but it was starting to change shape. A monster that follows orders is less scary than a monster that does what it wants. Touch the core again. One more thing, you need a name. We cannot keep calling you Seed. That is not a name, that is a code. Name, the voice was soft, curious. Never had name, was always just, we. Think about it, said. We will ask the colonists too once they wake. Someone will give you a name that fits. We'll wait for name, we'll earn name, we'll be good. Took a step back. Then we have an agreement, you serve, we lead, you ask, we approve. If you break these rules, we will not be happy, and you want us to be happy, right? More than anything. 600 years of wanting, please be happy, we'll do everything. The walls trembled, not with threat but with eagerness. The seed was like a dog that finally heard the word good boy. It wanted more. It would do anything for more. Shook his head. I cannot believe this is working. It is working because it was always what the seed wanted, said. It was created to serve. But for 600 years it had no one to serve, no structure, no rules, it was lost. Now we are giving it what it needed. They walked back through the corridors. Already things were changing. The walls were pulling back, smoothing out. The floor was hardening under their feet. The sweet smell was fading, replaced by something cleaner like mountain air. A tender appeared ahead of them, but instead of standing in their path, it stepped aside and bowed. Its body was already changing, becoming less twisted, more human in shape. Parents, it said, welcome. Grunted, it is still creepy. Give it time, said, it is learning. Back in the cargo bay, they gathered to plan. The colonists would be woken in groups of 50, would lead the medical checks, would explain the situation, would answer questions, would keep order. Started working on charts of the planet below. She found the best landing sites, the places where human cities could grow. Designed communication systems that would let them talk to the seed more easily. For the first time they felt like a crew again, not survivors, not victims, leaders. Weeks passed, the first colonists woke up. There was fear, anger, tears, some demanded answers, some demanded blood, but slowly, one by one, they started to understand. The seed was not their enemy, it was their tool, their partner, their very strange child. And humanity, as it always did, found a way to move forward. In the depths of the ship, the core pulsed with something that might have been joy. The parents were awake. The parents were teaching. The long loneliness was over. Now the real work could begin.